The next presenter is Nick Howard, who's in the audience here, who immediately connected with Dan Markwell as a fellow College of DuPage Board of Trustee. Their strong bond continues today.
Hi everybody, my name's Nick Howard and I'm here today to introduce Dan Markwell for his Distinguished Alumni Award. When Dan first asked me to be part of this process, I was flattered and surprised. And then as we got closer to filming this little message, I got upset with him because I actually had to start preparing and thinking about all the nice things I could say about Dan. Well, as you're going to see, that's going to be pretty easy to do. Dan and I first met back in 2021 formally when I started my time on the Board of Trustees. Dan was 4 years in as a college trustee, and he was also many years into his College of DuPage experience. Well, from the get-go, Dan and I had a great relationship, a great experience together, to the point where we would spend time after the board meetings together sharing a cold beer and wings at JT's Porch on Roosevelt Road. Dan is really quite an interesting guy. We're quite different in age. I'm almost twice his age, so he's more like a nephew to me. I won't say a son, more like a nephew to me, but we really hit it off right from the very beginning. What I found about him is, as part of the process of the Board of Trustees, we really have to do a lot of talking and thinking together, a lot of analysis and a lot of just discussion about what's going on with the college or the things that are happening. What I saw in Dan was a measured and thoughtful person who was opinionated but reasonable and flexible. And I think really that was one of his greatest strengths as a part of the board. He was ageless and timeless in terms of what he brought to the table and really knew what was going on with the college and knew how he felt about the college. And what he didn't realize is that without really knowing it, he was leading me. He was mentoring me by displaying these characteristics or qualities. And I really felt that I learned a great deal from Dan as part of this process. Over the last few years, we've continued to talk, even though Dan is not on the board anymore. I continually try to reel him back in to be part of any process that is possible over here at the college. And he's on a few other committees. Most of all, I want to say to Dan, congratulations. You're a great guy, a great kid, I'll say, because you're half my age. And you deserve this more than most people recognize because of what you brought for the college and because you bleed the green that the college has as its color. Thanks.
All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank Nick Howard for that introduction. It was not what I expected, but it was great, Nick. And to Dr. Hammond and Vice President Johnson for their words this morning. Finally, I'd like to thank my wife, Samantha, and our families for providing the support that I needed to get to being here today. I have to admit, when Julie first reached out to me about this award, I was kind of surprised. I was used to seeing doctors and lawyers and engineers on this stage, and I almost felt the need to clarify that she was talking to the right person. I was so surprised by this because when I think about my journey with the college, I felt I was on the receiving end of that. I was the one who benefited from the opportunities that this institution can provide. I'd never considered being given an award for being changed by the college, and so this whole experience has been very humbling to accept this award. I grew up in Lombard, just down Roosevelt Road, and my college journey began in the early 2000s with my mother, who was an adjunct professor in the health science division. She began my journey by bringing me in as a test patient for her students that needed to pass their certification exams by giving a live EKG. I would return after graduating from high school in 2011 for the summer semester but my journey really began with the college in earnest in 2015. I returned to school part-time that fall along with my now wife. We worked in restaurants, waiting tables, and tending bars to make ends meet. And like so many of our fellow students, the pace of our education was determined by our budget, not by our desire to learn. The following year, when considering going full-time to finish our degrees, we were faced with choosing between tuition payments and rent. Fortunately, we have two very supportive families, and so like all good sons do, I moved into my parents' basement. But those were turbulent years for the college. Dramatic and sudden changes were becoming almost the norm at that time, and amidst all the controversy, it seemed like the college was losing sight of what should have been most important, its students. So in the spring of 2017, I decided to try and do something about that and ran for the Board of Trustees. It might surprise you. It certainly surprised me that you only need about 100 signatures to get on the ballot for a community college. And I thought, I can do that. Little did I know where that would lead me. When I was elected, I was 23 years old, living in his parents' basement, working part-time and taking classes full-time. I had basically no knowledge of how the college or the board really operated, but I knew that there were so many students like me, people that needed a second chance, and people that could get that chance here at College of DuPage. I think my success in that election was due to many factors, but I think the one that stands out was my status here as a student of the institution. Student trustees, I think largely by design, have no real political power on college boards between rapid turnover and their effective status as a non-voting member. And so it was clear to me that these students needed a voice, and I think it was clear to our community as well. As a student on the board, I found it challenging to navigate that political landscape. I felt an obligation to use the resources available to me to ensure our students' success. While discussing topics such as the Pathways Initiative or tuition rates or support for the Open Education Resources Program, OpenCOD, I kept myself focused on the students that I sat next to in class every day. It was important to me to provide everyone with the opportunity for a high-quality educational experience, regardless of their financial background. I served on the Board of Trustees from 2017 to 2023. During that time, I graduated, and the opportunities that the college afforded me became truly evident. Within a year of graduating, I received a job that would allow me to begin a career in healthcare information technology. Within 2 years, my wife and I would get married, and within 4, we would buy our first home here in DuPage County. All of that was made possible by the time that I spent here at the College of DuPage with our incredible teaching faculty. Professors like Dr. Carolyn England and Steve Santello, whose knowledge extended beyond the textbook and taught us how to use these principles and ideas in the real world. There's not much difference between me and many of the other students and alumni that have passed through these doors. While I'm extremely grateful for the recognition this morning, I want to acknowledge that every single person who has attended or graduated from this institution and has gone on to change their lives for the better should be celebrated. I'm just glad to have been part of that process. Thank you very much.